Hi, my name is Kathy Pluman, and I'm the author of a Thinking Skills Handbook for Educators, Making Your Mind Up, for grades 2 to 8. This is a Thinking Skills Handbook for left brain thinking, reason, logic, analysis, observation, like most thinking books are. But it's also a Thinking Skills book on right brain thinking. Creative imagination, visualization, positive thinking, problem solving, lateral thinking. We need both kinds of thinking in the 21st century to reach our highest potentials. We need left brain thinking and that analysis combined with right brain thinking, creative imagination, to create and invent new ways of seeing, new perspectives, new inventions, new ways of solving a problem. Left brain thinking is calculating math. Right brain thinking is creating music. Left brain thinking is observing the world and understanding the world around us. Right brain thinking is creating new worlds. Worlds in the Sistine Chapel and great artistic masterpieces and great literature. We need both kinds of thinking in order to create new ways of being. And that is why this book is a very good thinking skills book to have. And I want to talk to you about a kind of experiential learning project that I did for a school, which incorporates left and right brain thinking, but it also incorporates experience. It's experiential learning. Why do we need this? Because those children will not forget the information. Statistically, they say that we remember 10% of what we read, 50% of what we see and hear, 70% of what we discuss, so discussion is vitally important in the classroom, but 80% of what we experience. Experience is the great teacher, and if we can give our learners an experience, they will remember that material. Now, what do I mean by experience? I mean a connection, developing a connection between the learner and the information, a bond, an emotional bond, which will give them deeper insight and understanding of the subject matter that they are learning. That's why experiential teaching is important. Now, this project that I did was for the grade 8s in a school, and they were studying medieval times in Europe. So I decided to do the medieval feast. The first thing you have to do is do your research. You have to make sure that all the information is readily available for the students so that they can access the information easily. So I decided to do antiquated documents. This is display that heron, dismember that crane. There's a book of courtesy, implements at the banqueting hall, manners for the guest. This is a journal from the comptroller stating the quantities and the kinds of meats for a large medieval feast. This gives recipes for fruit gravies. It gives the staff and their responsibilities at the feast. So you will also need to get a list of vocabulary of words that we don't normally use now, that was used during medieval times, like comptroller, like a nef for condiments, and like subtleties. This is a subtlety. This stag was a wire structure with mince meat, what we use for mince pies, inside, and then wrapped in marzipan and icing and created into a work of art. The only thing we have nowadays that is like that we still use for banquets is the ice sculpture left over from medieval times. This is a notice admonishing the carver for a breach of etiquette. The carver put more than 2 fingers on the meat when they carved the meat. And this, of course, is the precursor of the fork, because they only had knives and spoons at that time. So this is the kind of information that's fun and interesting and sparks their curiosity. It's nice information to be able to find and discover. So, what I did was this. I got all the information that I needed. I dipped all of the documents in tea. I frayed their edges. I handwrote all the information in so that it looked like these documents could have possibly come from medieval times. And of course, the learners have to suspend disbelief. They know that this is not actual, but they also know that this is a fun project. And so we get their commitment. What happened is this. The students came in and sat down, and I pretended to be in role play as the librarian. I had found these documents in the archives of the library, and I did not know what they were about. I didn't know how important they were, but I know that when they asked for the experts to come and to look and research the information, that we would be able to find the information out from them. So then I went out of role play. I explained to the learners what the project was, what they were expected to do, that they were going to divide up into groups and take one special area of a medieval feast and report on it, and that I would help them in any way I could by coming in and out of character. If they were keen, we would have a go. So I got their commitment. They all said yes because they were curious. So I went back into role play as the librarian, and I told them the things I had found. I showed it to them so they could see it. I had a picture of a tapestry which I had cut up into different sections according to the categories. I think there were 7 or 8. It's on page 116 of the book, Making Your Mind Up. And the categories included food and drink, food preparation, decoration of the banqueting hall, the name and responsibilities of the staff at the banquet, specialties and exotic meat presentation, discussion of etiquette, and entertainment. And with these categories, I cut up that picture and I put a number on it for the special category they were doing, and they drew a puzzle piece from a hat. So they would know what that group was doing. Then they took the pertinent information and documents to their group, and they studied it and tried to come up with the answers to the questions. I went around the group and I went in and out of character. So I was the helpless librarian, enthusiastic, asking, what did you find? What information have you got? And they would tell me, and if they didn't, if they were struggling a bit, I would come out of character and become the educator, and I would help guide them on the principles of inductive reasoning and how they could make, from a specialized information, how they could draw a generality, because this is an inductive reasoning exercise. So they knew that in dismember that heron, that a heron could be cooked and used as food. From this, this is a ballad that was written by the balladeer for his friend the flamethrower, who set himself alight while entertaining at a medieval feast. From this information, they could make the generalization that balladeers and flamethrowers were part of a medieval feast entertainment. So I gave them time. I gave them 2 to 3 lessons to glean the information and to work with it. And then each group presented their information to the class. One member of each group presented the information, and they took their puzzle piece and they put it on the board, and they created eventually the picture of the medieval feast. We had a lovely time. It was very, very fun, and then we decided we would do the medieval feast. We got permission from the principal to use the hall. The specialized group that specialized in the banquet decoration decorated the hall. The group that did the specialties for meat presentation worked with the cookery teacher and presented food and meats and gravies, fruit gravies and things that were eaten at the time. Now obviously we didn't cook cranes and herons and peacocks, but we cooked roasted chicken, and then with the art teacher's help they dressed the chicken so that it looked like a peacock, and they put it on a platter and they presented it to the dais table on the night, and the principal was king for the day. Then we did a subtlety. It wasn't as intricate as a stag, it was a hare, but they had managed to do the hare, and they put it on a platter and they presented it at the dais table, and it looked magnificent. So we all had a wonderful time. We got into costume. We either made our costumes or we hired costumes. We decided we would go outsource to get the entertainment for the feast. So we got a balladeer who played guitar, who sang ballads. We got a fire eater, a juggler, a jester, and we got the school's wrestling team to come and to do the moves and the holds of wrestling as an entertainment. Half of the group waited on the other half, so half the group were the staff who used the proper etiquette to serve at the tables, and then when they had eaten, they switched places so that everyone had the experience of the medieval feast, being someone who served at the feast or someone who ate at the feast. We all had a wonderful time. We had great fun. And those children will remember all of that information, 80% of that information, and they will remember it with fondness and with joy. And that is the kind of learning that we need to give our students. If they can remember 80% of the information with fondness and joy, we are well ahead of educating our children properly. So, I have done quite a number of experiential learning projects in this book. You can get this book online at Barnes & Noble or Ingram, on the website Making Your Mind Up, or on Facebook. I will be doing a number of presentations on thinking skills, study skills, positive thinking, visualization, problem solving. So I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.